Good morning, Miramar, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Tamara G. And don't forget, you can check us out on all of our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at City of Miramar. And we all know that it's right here in Miramar. And I am so happy, elated, excited, any superlative you can think of to have this lady on with me today. This is Miss Catherine G. Moore. She is the daughter of Katherine Johnson. Of course, the movie Hidden Figures was based on her mom, and her mother started a book, One Step Further: My Story of Math, the Moon, and a Lifelong Mission. And Miss Moore and her sister contributed to the book and helped to write it as well. And we're just so happy to have you, Ms. Moore. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we know too, unfortunately, that we lost your mother in this past year. But man, when I tell you everything she did in how many years, 100 years?
101 plus. She would have been 102 in August.
Wow. Listen. You can't beat that with a stick, as they say. But it's just amazing what she did as far as the time frame that she did it, and why she wanted to write this book, I guess, was to encourage others to follow in her footsteps.
When they approached her about the book, she said, "They want to write a book about me?" I was just doing my job. And we said, yes, but you did it better than most people would have done it, But she was a very humble, fun mom. I said, she's been my mom all my life, and I'm 76.
Okay.
My sister just had a birthday, and we laughed. We said, we didn't realize that we were getting older until she was gone.
Oh, wow.
And then we said, wow, because she kept us moving.
All the time.
We were always there. We would play games with her even then. And she wasn't sick. That was the good part. We had her right up till the end.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And truth be told, we only saw a glimpse of what your mother had to go through the movie Hidden Figures, because the movie is only 2 hours, obviously. But you guys were right there. Did y'all know the things that she was having to deal with at work while she's trying to put a man on the moon? Did y'all know that she was dealing with the racism and the separatism and the sexism and all of that, the isms?
I think that was one of the miracles of her raising us. She was raised by parents who did not show anger, or they were angry, but they didn't put that in their spirit. And they were able to, because of what was happening, garner that energy and put it out there in the universe as excellence.
And truly, that's what it was. Your mother was a prodigy. For those who are watching, of course, we're talking about Katherine Johnson from Hidden Figures. She was portrayed by Taraji P. Henson in the movie, but she was a prodigy. And that, according to other people, that was not supposed to happen, that a young Black girl knew all this math and science.
And the interesting story that she tells, because I wasn't there, was that her dad didn't stop her. Not from the beginning. And the first daughter that went to college was the older sister. She had to be sent away because they had stopped the education for the Blacks at that time at 8th grade. So she was sent first to West Virginia State Collegiate School for High School for Negroes, I think, or colored it was called. And what happened is he found it was just so expensive after that first year. He told my grandmother, who was a school teacher, even though she was at home, look, it's too expensive, so I'm going to send you with the children. And there were 2 boys and 2 girls, mom being the youngest. I'm going to send you to West Virginia, and we'll find work for me. And if I can't, then I'll come back, but you stay with the children. Now, that was just a done decision. They're going to college. They're going to school to go to college. So They all left, and they would come home in the summers and go back. They'd get jobs in the summers at the Greenbrier, go back until they all graduated from West Virginia State. Mom finished the high school part was attached to the college, because in those days, most towns did not educate Blacks past a certain grade, because they figured they were only going to work in somebody's house or somebody's factory or somebody's farm. And my grandfather already envisioned more for his children. And so they left the high school part and just segued right into college. Mom left high school at 14 and graduated from West Virginia State University and Institute, West Virginia at 18.
Wow. It's amazing. I'm just amazed even at your grandfather being so, having the forethought and also being that's pretty liberal for a man back in those days.
She said he was the smartest man she knew, and he had a 6th grade education, but he married a smart woman and he wasn't intimidated. But she was a stay-at-home mom. She nurtured those children and taught them along the way, but they all grew to become educators, because she said in those days, what could you do?
Right.
You either taught or you became a nurse. She said, I didn't want to be a nurse, but she did become a teacher. But she knew from her teachers that she would make a good research mathematician. And when she asked, well, what is that? He said, that's for you to find out. She was when she started out, she was going to major in French and English. She said, because she liked the sound of that language. And she was walking across campus, this little 12, 13-year-old, 15-year-old. And he said, and the lady coming to her said, Catherine, you weren't in my math class last semester. If you're not in there this semester, I'm coming after you, because you should be majoring in math. She said, but I'm going to major in French. Mama said, I'll just major in both of them. And she did. And she graduated with a degree in math and French. And she taught both.
It's amazing. I mean, just even, again, thinking about the movie and thinking about how they portrayed her. And now with you talking about her, Miss Katherine Johnson was an incredible woman. And with this new book, One Step Further, the fact that she wanted to pass that along to younger generations, and particularly people of color, kids of color, because I don't think STEM is pushed toward children of color.
Not particularly, but that's the emphasis is on those students who we know have not received a fair shake. And if mentorship is not something new in our neighborhood, the village always raised their children, but this STEM came out when they started seeing what was possible. I think in the space program, you started seeing hopefully the Black astronauts, the female astronauts, because her great mentee, Leland Melvin was one, but then Yvonne Cagle had met her 10 years prior to being told that you met her. And she was just amazed. She said, that was, and I didn't respond. You mean I have been reading her work and did not realize that, so we went through all of that. And she became her, we couldn't have gone without her the last 12 years, because she would come in whenever she was on the East Coast. If she could, she would come by, and she was there at her homegoing and flew with us to the Oscars, took care of her on the stage.
I remember that night. I remember when they wheeled your mother up on stage and you were there along with your sister, Joylette, and your mother's, she was, of course, basking in it as well. She should have, but I still felt that she couldn't believe that this was happening to her. Like I got that sense from her.
When they first asked us if she could go, we said, do you realize how old she is? She's 97 at the time. They said, and We said, but she's on oxygen. And
Mm-hmm.
well, she would need a private jet. And we started naming all these things that we knew would be a no-go.
Trying not to get her to go, right? Trying to get the Oscars people to say, "Oh no, that's okay."
Let her down gently, because you know she would be. If you said let's go, she was ready.
Okay.
Love to get in the car and ride to West Virginia. And I mean, she was, 97, but she wasn't alive in the wheelchair. However, 97. Her mind, nothing was wrong with up here, because she stayed awake the whole flight. We were on a private jet, and she sat there as if she was in the captain's seat. She was watching the map, and she wouldn't take a nap because they had put a bed in the back. We said, fold that up. She's not going in there.
She was too excited.
And she was with the 4 grandchildren and the 2 of us, and Yvonne, and it was such an experience to be able to share that with her.
Yes, it was amazing. And I watched that night. And the movie did so well at the box office. It told her story. Again, if you are just tuning in, I'm speaking with Catherine G. Moore. She is the daughter of Katherine Johnson, of course, from the Hidden Figures movie, The Fame. But her mother, before she passed this past year, she actually wrote a book, and it's called One Step Further, My Story of Math, the Moon, and a Lifelong Mission. There it is. It looks good. And there's your mom right on the front cover. There's your mom on the front cover. Yeah. And so since this time, how many people, and I know it's been many, how many young people have come up to you and said, after they've seen the movie, after they've heard now of her story, that it's made them want to pursue a career in STEM, science, technology, engineering, or math?
We can't count. We have notebooks with letters from school children where we've never even heard. The UK, we went to South Africa for her, and believe it or not, the students at the university came up to us, some of them in tears, saying that they were so ready to quit because they weren't getting a lot of encouragement. They said, but we saw her movie, or we read the book, and we'll be all right. I mean, adult women have said to us, I didn't think I could, but I'm going back to school. And I mean, and these are actual told to us stories, not something we heard.
Right.
The impact has just blown us away. And when we would go back, whatever trip we took, we'd always, whatever the gift was they gave us and all, we'd take it back, and we'd have this whole production and tell her how it went, and whatever they gave us, we'd present it to her. Or in some instances, the colleges would come and present it to her in the theater at the facility where she was and make a big production out of it. So she was constantly in the flow. It wasn't like she was up there and we were doing all of this. She would say, oh, I wish I could go with you. And we said, we wish you could too. So just the impact she's had on the world, but on her children, it's been there all the time, but it was like in the heart.
Right.
Now it's out.
Well, I hear that all the time from celebrities, kids too, that they don't realize it's just mom and dad. Like they don't realize that the world adores their parent. And the same with you guys. She's just mom to you. She's always been, like you said, she's always been there. And for nearly 102 years, you all were blessed to have her. It didn't seem like it couldn't have seemed like it was any different once she started getting her due proper dues, and that people recognized who she was and what she did for mankind, which again is putting someone on the moon through her calculations.
And we were just, it's selfish on my part, but just saying, oh, if she'd just known sooner, they would have gotten that much more from her, because she loved to go to schools
and talk to kids.
Yes, ma'am. That she did that back in the day when she'd take leave time from NASA and go, they write to them and say, we want somebody to come and speak. She spoke here. I live in Greensboro, so she spoke at A&T. And I remember she said, "Will you go over and see your friends at Bennett, and we'll meet up again?" I mean, she didn't say, "Come and listen to me," and I didn't have sense enough to say,
I'll go and listen to her.
Coming to another meeting.
Right.
That's how unassuming she was. She went to, I remember back in the day, she went to MIT. We didn't even know what MIT was until she came with a mug that they had given her, because we didn't go to, we couldn't go to MIT. I mean, we probably could have if you'd had money. But right. The point was, she was doing her work in spite of everything.
Wow. Because
of the love she had for it. If somebody said, "Can you, will you?" And she would go.
Wow. She would go. That's amazing. Before we end, because that would be great to end it on, but I have to ask this question. I know that she was honored at West Virginia. Did they name a building or campus for?
They put up a statue.
Okay.
A 7-foot statue at West Virginia State University. And on her birthday, the president at that time was President Jenkins, had this big...
You're good. You've been doing these all day long.
Sure, they're saying this is time for me to start.
I have so enjoyed it.
But that's what it was.
But well, before we go, then they put a statue up of her. I want everybody to know, where can they find the book One Step Further?
Very good. It's at any good bookstore. It's on Amazon. And I think yesterday was the first day it was out.
Wow. Well, I'm sure it's going to be a bestseller. One Step Further, My Story of Math, the Moon, and a Lifelong Mission. Katherine Johnson, of course, from Hidden Figures fame. Thank you I love it. Thank you so much. You know exactly what to do.
And her daughter. Thank you so much.
I have enjoyed it. Katherine G. Moore, thank you so much for being with us today and telling us about the legacy of your mom. We certainly appreciate it. And good luck with the book, in stores everywhere.
Thank you.